I didn't know what masculinity was until I was probably about 26 when I left the mines. I then got introduced to Tony Robbins, and then he showed vulnerability, just saw the leadership. And I was like, he then became the father figure for me. I thought working in the mines, you don't show emotion, you don't show any weakness, because as soon as you do, it's a feeding ground.
I could see how a lot of people get into boxing, a lot of men get into boxing, and then it can be a relatively toxic base.
Anger is the easiest. Anger is probably the quick go-to. Anger. The things that's hardest is vulnerability.
So a generalisation that I would make when it comes to how men trying to be different to their fathers is probably presence, as in wanting to be around more. Welcome to Life Bates podcast. Today we have Warren Cutajar.
Cutajar, yeah.
Cutajar, great. And as you know, this series starts with just one word because I love words and the work that I do is very much heavily on the language we use. Yeah. So today we are starting with the word masculine.
Beautiful.
So Warren, welcome.
Thank you.
And can you just, intro, I guess, who you are, what you do, why are you here?
Beautiful.
Why should people care?
Thank you. So as you said, my name's Warren Cutajar. I used to be a coal miner. I worked in the underground coal miner as a fitter for about 14 years. And then had my massive spiritual awakening. That's why I'm wearing my spiritual hat.
Spiritual fucking hats.
It's dropped in. And,
definitely talk about that.
Yeah, 100%. And so, I went on this journey of first thinking like listening to motivational music was personal development. And then got out of the mines, went into real estate, then did real estate for 2 years. And then I wanted to retire by the age of 30, and I held that as a pedestal. And then when I came to that, I was just bored out of my brain, and I was just lonely, depressed, and all that kind of stuff, and started dipping into more personal development. When I did real estate, the guy that ran the real estate company paid for us to go to Tony Robbins, and that was my entry into personal development. And then it just became a rabbit hole, and one thing led to the next, and then I was like, okay. So when you change the way you think, that changes patterns in your brain and in your body and the chemistry in your body, and that basically creates sickness. And so I was like, okay, so if our thoughts create sickness, our thoughts can also create us to be healthy. And then it's led down the path of healing and things like that to where I am today is going down the more healing route. And it took me so long to come to the establishment that I want to be a healer, because I hid behind the masks of what was safe, which was I knew property. I created a multi-million-dollar portfolio by the age of 24. Then I sold it. Then I started again. But I knew how to make money that way, and so I was creating money that way, and then I started up a business that way. And when I got to a point of it was interesting. Like Natalie and I remember I was at an NLP event, and my body was just jolting and like vibrating. And people that have activated their Kundalini, it's called Kairas or Kriyas or whatever. And I was like, why is my body just like vibrating? And like, if anyone didn't know,
like convulsing, like
literally,
epilepsy.
Literally having. If anyone didn't know, it looked like someone's having an epileptic fit. But then what I then realized, I was transmuting energy. I was embodying other people, the field around me, and I was just transmuting it. And I guess you can go down the line of also when I was helping out breath work, when I was facilitating breath work, I started crying for one of my mates who was trying to cry, but was just holding on tight. And I was like, wow, I can process other people's emotions. I was like, this is nuts. This is weird. And once again, just led me down the rabbit hole of like, what is this? And all of this kind of stuff, and had some crazy spiritual, like past life things that's popped up. And it's nuts. So that's where I am today. We, me and my beautiful partner, we own a healing and coaching company. We have we've got a VA company, and we've got a property investment business as well. So
awesome. So I have had the privilege of being in the room with you as both of us being students in different capacities. And when I think about a word, when I was looking at, we were going to do this recording, and I was like, the word masculine drops in.
Yeah.
More so about the journey you've been on and what it actually means in today's world. And the reason for that is understanding or knowing your past in the minds.
Yes.
And I grew up playing football, soccer, so being in the locker rooms with the guys and understanding what is a perception of what masculinity should be or looks like versus what is possible and what is it. Yeah. So that's sort of why that word came in.
Yeah.
And I guess to start with, as I usually do, I'll just give you the etymology of the word for those of you listening. So the word masculine comes from Middle English, borrowed from Old French masculin, which itself derives from the Latin masculinus, meaning male or of the male sex. Now this Latin term is diminutive of masculus, meaning male or worthy of a man, which comes from the root mas, meaning male person. So pretty much most people will say masculine equals man. And though when we look at energetics and we look at everybody having the masculine and feminine energy within them, when we look at the current values levels our country here in Australia is in, and the amount of women who are in their masculine energy more than their feminine, the amount of women who are on their journey to try to be in their feminine and wanting their partners to be in the masculine, and all the fucking confusion around that. So I guess to ask you straight up, Warren, what is masculine to you? What does it mean?
What does it mean to me is how a person can fully integrate the feminine as well as the masculine. It wasn't until I learnt that some men, due to traumas or whatever you want to call it, might be one or the other, might be more dominant in one or the other. And the evolution and whether they start listening to the universe, source or whatever, the universe will give you situations in how to deal with what you're lopsided in. And so for me personally, I was quite a soft kid due to, I love my parents, and knowing what I know now about, trauma and things like that. My dad had depression. My dad had chronic fatigue, and I found it quite hard to connect with my dad. And so I then took on I was so much closer to my mum, which mum was a lot softer. And so I then disregarded what I thought was masculine for my dad, and I started being more softer. And then so the universe, as brilliant as it is, because I was so soft and I was like, I'd never speak up, I'd be very quiet and timid, what did I do? I followed my dad's footsteps to seek his approval and went into the mines. And the mines, it was such an interesting... First, I did my apprenticeship in the mines. And so I left home and went into the mines as an 18-year-old kid, and it was so interesting, like what society deem as masculine men, like big, strong, don't talk about their feelings and everything like that, like was everything. Like the bigger that you are, that means that you're stronger and everything like that. And so, like even showering, like in the mines, probably the same as football. Like it's an open cubicle, and it was so interesting. Like I had to like everyone showers naked. There's no point going in there with your undies. We're showering with your undies, and some men do, and they just get
they cop it.
They cop it. Yeah, that's right. And it's just like the mines is, such a
fucking mind game.
Yeah, but it's such also a toxic environment. You're going underground for 12 hours a day, and I remember in winter, I started my apprenticeship in a small town called Mudgee, and during winter it's -7. You've got frost all over your windscreen. You go underground for 12 hours, and then you come out and it's dark again. So you see no sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
And so then what that then does to a man's psyche is they're not getting any vitamin D, they're not getting anything, and then they're then going back home tired, grumpy, and things like that. And then it just falls down the line of, you know, any small thing, they get angry with their children, they get angry with their partner. And that was, you know, shown to me as a small kid. Like, I didn't really see my dad during the week because he was working. God love him, to provide for us. But then on the weekends when I'd see him, you know, I might play up, or I might by trying to seek his love, and I'd get shut down. I'd get hit and things like that. And I didn't know what masculinity was until I was probably about 26 when I left the mines.
Mm-hmm.
And I then got introduced to Tony Robbins. And then the owner of the real estate company was so amazing. Like, he showed vulnerability. He was modeling to his son. Like, his son was just there, just helping out at the time, and just saw the leadership. And I was like, he then became the father figure for me.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing led to the next. So then, you know, I broke up with my partner, and I then realized, like, I thought being like my partner at the time was wanting to be more emotional, like be more, because I shut off so much. Because I thought working in the mines, you don't show emotion, you don't show any weakness,
mm-hmm.
because as soon as you do, it's a feeding ground. And so I learned to shut off my emotions. But then when you get into a relationship with a female, what do they want? They want to see they say they want emotions, but what they are actually seeking is vulnerability. And what I learnt after that relationship didn't work, I then started researching about masculinity and feminine energies, and reading like books. What was it called? The Way of the Superior Man, and No More Mr. Nice Guy. And I was realizing that I was a nice guy. I was the nice guy that, you know.
We would call that light masculine in the Life by Eight sort of realm. The light masculine, the white knight. Yeah.
And that how it showed up in my relationship. And then I went a step further. I was like, okay, so how I was showing up in that relationship as the feminine, I then attracted a masculine partner to then compensate. And then it wasn't until I started doing boxing, I then learnt to actually stand up for myself. Because, and it's beautiful, like sports are great, but then when I was doing it from an unhealed place, because it's so interesting, like I did bodybuilding because I was wanting confidence. And I had a six-pack, I was ripped, but I had no fucking confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So then I did boxing, and boxing taught me so much. Boxing, I love it. It is great. But then you see most boxers, they're unhealed. I was so angry, and boxing was a great way to get my anger out. But it also taught me how to have controlled aggression, because there's no point going guns blazing. You get puffed out in the first 30 seconds, and then you mince meat. So it taught me how to channel my anger, and then when it's ready, release. So, it's been my whole life's lesson to date is how can I it's a constant integration. It's when I have to be conscious, because my natural disposition is to be softer. So then I have to be conscious of then stepping into being more assertive. I have to step into leading more and being more vulnerable. And that was definitely a lesson that I've had to learn is how can I be more heart-led and listen and not always lead with my head and my ego, and be more open and vulnerable to what the feminine has to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I in 2023 I started training for boxing.
Yes.
I've got a fight in March next year.
Cool.
And I started the training and I didn't like it because of how much anger there was in the energetic field, in the space. Yeah. So then I went to the complete opposite, ballet, because like I'm quite masculine in my energy and had been for lots of different reasons in my life. Yeah. And now I'm doing boxing, Muay Thai and ballet all in one production next year. So I can see how a lot of people get into boxing, a lot of men get into boxing, and then it can be a relatively toxic space. Yeah, definitely. So when people ask me about masculine and feminine energy, and it's a lot of work, it's a lot of work that I do with my clients, whether it's groups or one-on-one. But I talk about the masculine from a doing energy and the feminine as a being energy. Yeah. Because what I see in society and with sort of I am education and the centres in the schools, what we see with a lot of parents and the dynamics in relationships as well is that there is a lot of women who are in their masculine energy, so they're doing, because we are in a society that productivity is rewarded, and it's why childcare was invented in the first place. So we have all these men and women doing, and there's this craving and desire for being. Yes. And women want their men to be more in the doing and so that they can be in the being, though there is no space for the male to be in the doing if both are in that same space. Yeah. So a lot of conflict, a lot of attraction dies off. Yes. The polarity is not there. So knowing the partner who you're with and you're now a dad, going to be another for two. Congratulations.
Two. Thank you.
What has that dynamic been like for you when you think about when you've got two people in the doing, male in a masculine, feminine, male-female relationship we're speaking about here. Yeah. What's it been like, the journey of discovering how to be in the masculine when you have a partner who's heavily in the masculine and that dynamic? Yeah.
It's a dance. It's a constant dance, and that's why the ability to be conscious and aware of where you're at is, I think, so vital. And like with any stay-at-home dad or any woman that is working, I think it's so important that in business is when you start doing the doing. When you come home, that is when you take the moment and you start to be. And, sometimes with kids and things like that, it's hard to be because you're doing things for them. But what I found so vital is a checkup once a week, and to be accountable of where you're sitting. And we do it weekly. We catch up on, what. We start off with appreciation, but then we start off, what's something that I triggered you in? What's something that you haven't done that, So it's having those weekly catch-ups that then you can then see where you are in the whole spectrum of things, and then take action into fixing that. So. Like, on the front end, it's so interesting. Like, Nat perceives, like, on the front end, like, Nat comes off as quite masculine, of doing. But when she's at home, she's like a little puppy dog, and she surrenders, and it's like, and that allows me to then lead. So it's like this ebb and flow of masculine and feminine, just knowing when to lead and when to not, and when to be and when to not. And it's, sometimes we're not always perfect, and we definitely pick each other up on those aspects. And that's the whole point of having, when you're in a relationship, to have those accountability meetings.
So what does it feel like to become a father of a boy, of a male? So you now have your dad above, and you're now a father, and your first is a son as well.
Yeah.
When you think about masculinity and being a dad and how it's changed generationally, what are your thoughts, and what's it been like for you?
It's been, I think, having a son, I'm so blessed to have a son, because I think with any parent, they always want to do better than their parents. And it's beautiful that I get to do things differently to how my parents have done things. Not saying that that's wrong. That's
it's progress and growth.
That's exactly right. And so, it's showing my son how to be a strong male. And when I say strong, strongness isn't being strong at the gym or being strong and saying no. Strong is actually, how vulnerable can I be? How heart-led can I be? But also learning the skills like jiu-jitsu or boxing that he can then learn to be integrated at a younger age. And I think now, I was also journeying this, is like, in society these days, back in the tribal days, there used to be initiations for men.
Rites of passage.
Rites of passage, that's exactly right. And there's not. But there's definitely, for my son, there's definitely going to be rites of passage. There's definitely going to be learning how to, one, connect with nature and survive. Because that's something that I used to love, but then I shunned it away. It wasn't until I connected with nature I then learnt to then connect with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's all connected.
Absolutely.
And so, I'm so grateful that I get to show my son what leadership is, and just the little things, like teaching him how to shave.
Mm-hmm.
I never learned how to shave. I was going the wrong way and didn't realize I had to go, down instead of up. And I was like, it was just the simple things I never got taught. And I get to rewrite the generation of him knowing and being able to flow with both the masculine and the feminine.
So something that I want to go deeper on in regards to, I have two boys.
Yeah.
Paul, we were just over in Ireland. My husband's Irish.
Yeah.
And we were over for the first time with his father. So 3 generations together on I guess, home ground. And they did a rites of passage, and they climbed a mountain over there that is relatively spiritual in nature for them. And that was something that was really important for me. It was on my before list to be on homeland with Paul's parents. But there's something in regards to, I'm Caucasian and you are as well, as far as I'm aware. Whether you identify as starseed alien, let's just go in this human form.
Yeah.
The human forms that we have of children are white boys.
Yeah.
And I can remember a time when I had my second, Owen, and I was like, am I lucky to have had boys? And am I lucky that they're white? And I can remember very vividly this sort of thought process, because there is a protection that society has in the past given. I mean, a lot of our culture nowadays is dictated by white men, and that's sort of the uproar or the uprising that we're having globally at the moment. Has this something that has you've ever thought about in regards to what it means for them in society as it is and what it's becoming?
So growing up, so what you're saying is having boys, how does it show up?
Yeah, but also having boys and they're white.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of benefits and currently leaning towards negatives for them.
It's nothing. It's to be honest, it hasn't been in my peripherals. It hasn't. I haven't journeyed that. I haven't. Yeah, I haven't even thought of it, to be honest. Yeah.
So when you think about it, does anything come up?
No.
Because there's like we haven't had a world war in our generations.
Yeah.
Men, boys,
Yeah.
white boys are usually the ones who, if we were to go, they are the ones, whatever the word is.
Yeah.
It starts with C, but I can't remember it. The ones who have to go to war.
Yeah.
Not prescribed, but anyway,
Yeah,
they go to war.
Yeah. Conscription.
Yeah. And there's also they tend to get away with a lot more. In the past, probably more for our generation. So I'm 39. Yeah. I think you're in your mid-30s. Maybe. How old are you?
34.
Yeah. Oh, almost. Yeah. So for our generation, it was like they did get away with a lot more than they do now.
Yeah.
So with a lot of what I believe is happening in society globally, and with the connection that we have through social media, all of these sort of things, it's like that's also there's a constriction happening for white men and white boys and their ability to be expressed or to be able to fully express, because it's been deemed it's gone from being the way and the thing that had control to now a negative for so many different pieces. So there's this piece that I lean into when it comes to masculine and when it comes to my own children, and what I see is like, what does that mean for them over the next 20 years? Yeah. I've got a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old. I know that your son's little. Yeah. But it's a conversation that I think is worth having, because we're redefining what masculinity looks like, let alone what masculinity looks like for Caucasian males.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think also the society that we live in is that, transgender as well. Like, I'll put that in the space. It's like people don't know who they are anymore. And what masculinity, like, let's talk about going back and talking about, like, the war.
Yep.
Most men went to war. Then what happened? Most families didn't have a masculine pillar. With the men that came back, most of them had PTSD. Most of them were traumatized. Then what happens? Falls down the line. And then, it's like men then are modeled and they don't know, like, how to be masculine. It's coming more and more, like society. It's so great that we're slowly waking up. There's definitely more room for improvement. But even the society thing that, okay, men are allowed to cry now. Now they're allowed to cry, but it's only masculine if a man has tattoos and he's big and muscly. It's okay for them to cry, but it's not okay for a small framed person or
someone who doesn't look.
That's right.
The physical masculine.
That's exactly right. So there's that happening. There's the transgender thing. There's so many directions that, in a way, that a man can go that they're fucking lost. And so I think it's so important for men to start being more open-minded and to allow healing to happen, because it's not until you then heal your trauma, then you're also healing your past as well. And it's so vital that in today's society that we know who the fuck we are, because the government's going to start telling us who the fuck we are if we don't stand up knowing who the fuck we are. And that's what I really stepped into now is like the remembering who the fuck we are, because society, past generational trauma has decided who the fuck we are. And it's not until we clear that we can then redefine what masculinity is.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe it's a rebuilding of society, or do you believe that all systems need to collapse and it's not about rebuilding those systems? It's not a rebuild. You talk about remembrance. Why is it important to remember? What does that mean for the future?
Because whether you believe it or not, we're 99.99% energy. We've had past lives.
Mm-hmm.
We're a soul before we are a human. And so it's remembering the essence, the core of our soul. Because our soul knows, but our human wants to fight, wants to put labels on, wants to create separation. But our heart and our soul wants to feel connected. And for me, when I was on my journey, my soul was yearning to be expressed. My soul was being sick of being shut down, and it knew that it was wanting to be more in this life. And so, yeah, it's remembering that we are all connected, and that we are, as we want to make it, we're all connected, we're all one. Yeah.
So speaking about woo, can you tell me why you wear a spiritual hat?
It's my new identity, baby.
Right? Why? For what purpose?
For what purpose? Because I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we're going to go deeper, because this is a thing that a lot of people, it's actually, these pieces are actually things that do block people. When they see people with spiritual hats and they're like, why are they wearing spiritual hat? Like, what? And so it's like, for what purpose do we do things? We create identity, and we can have a remembering of who we are.
Yeah.
But it's also understanding why we do what we do.
Yeah.
So you like it. It's part of your new identity. What's deeper than that for you?
Great question. What's deeper than that? I think it's modeling. I think one thing that I've learnt to do is model people. And yes, you could debate that, is that authentic? But in order for me in this reality to get what I want, it's a matter of modeling. And so I see what I like and I do it. And so, yeah.
Cool. I'm not ready to go off it, but do you want me to change subject?
Whatever.
Okay. So what are you modeling?
I'm modeling people.
Mm-hmm. We all model
image.
We all model everybody from a very young age. That's how we learn how to walk without like all of those things. Yeah. The thing that really intrigues me and I love so much in these type of deeper conversations is we're modeling, but who was the first person who wore a hat? And why?
Yeah.
Because we talk about, rejecting labels and not being defined by anything, yet then we create personas or identities that create labels for others to put us into.
Yeah.
So it's like this expansion and contraction. And what do you want people to see or to feel or to experience when they see this identity of you?
I want people to perceive that he's cool. That he's not just one of those, dreadlock hippie people. That I can embrace both. Like, to be honest, like I'm wearing 1,300, I'm wearing $1,300 sandals.
Yeah.
And for a while there, I was like, do I need all this? But I'm like, you know what? I like wearing Hermes stuff. I'm wearing a crocodile fucking belt. I'm wearing, $1,000 belt as well. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I when I was younger, I was like, I like looking good, but I also want to be that guy that, because I always wanted to buy a Maserati. I wanted to be that guy that buying a Maserati that looks like a bum.
Yeah.
But then what I then realized too is like it's a vibration. You pay for your vibration, and I definitely journeyed that as well. The image on, I like looking like a bogan, but then I also look like wearing nice things as well.
Yeah.
And I then had to learn to integrate both.
Yeah. So who are you without the hat?
I'm Bogan Warren. I'm Bogan Warren with the hat and without the hat.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. I'm doing a podcast with somebody we both know, and his word is hats.
Yeah.
So that will be an interesting conversation on it, because it is something that has been a block for me in the past.
Interesting.
And really wanting to deeply understand why people do what they do. I mean, it's typically why I love podcasts. It's why I coach, because I love psychology of humans.
So interesting.
And when I was 17, I started a website called Fashion Weekly.
Yeah.
And that was because I didn't know what a beret was.
Yeah, right.
Which is a hat, a French hat.
Yeah.
And that's why I started that business and sold a few years later. So, I guess to sort of start to, come to some conclusions is, what do you, as if you're talking to a coal miner, what do you think, where do they start?
Great question.
So if you think about you back then, for many people, Tony Robbins is like that rah-rah old school shit, and might put a lot of people off. Or if they have to go to a room where dancing happens and they're like, fuck this shit. And so they reject it more.
Yeah. Great
They
question.
might not know what, the things we reject the most are usually the things we are.
Yeah.
But where would you suggest they start?
Start reading books. Start being inquisitive of why you're doing what you're doing. Like, learn a little bit about psychology. Learn about what are wounds, what is trauma. Like, read books like, No More Mr. Nice Guy. Read books of, what's that other book?
The Way of the Superior Man.
The Way of the Superior Man. Things like that. Like, start being inquisitive, and then let that be your guide. And then, there's so many people that, when you're looking to heal, look for someone who's also been on a similar journey to you, so then you can relate. I guess this is probably another topic, but sometimes the coaching and healing industry is a little bit on the facade, and I had one client that reached out, and he's like, on a sales call, he's like, are you going to take my life savings? I'm like, no, man, I'm not going to take your life savings. Yes, it clearly costs to work with me, but I'm not here to be taking your life savings. So that was a really interesting conversation because of his past experience. And so, it's interesting.
So what does healthy masculinity look like?
Leading with your heart.
Mm-hmm. And how do you know when you are?
It's that edge. It's an edge. It's lowering down your guard and lowering down whatever your first reaction is. Like if you're in a fight, pause for 3 to 4 seconds, breathe into your heart, and then speak from the heart.
What emotions are easiest for men to access, and which ones are the hardest?
Anger,
Easiest?
frustration. Yeah,
Yeah.
anger is
Yep.
the easiest. Anger is probably the quick go-to.
Mhm.
Anger, and the things that's hardest is vulnerability.
Mhm. What are men today trying to do differently as fathers?
Great question. To be better than their parents.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are like, I don't want to be like my dad. And then they end up creating a life that, or the results is the same.
Yeah.
So when we swing the pendulum, for those who may have not done NLP training, we talk about I don't and the but and what the truth is, then the negatives being processed. So when you say I don't want to be like my mother, which was my experience, I end up becoming like my mother or creating results like that because the things that I'm rejecting.
Yeah.
So they're trying to be different. If you were to sort of look at a generalization of that, what do you think the difference is for majority of people?
Can you say that again?
What do you think the actual difference is? So what you might want to be different to your dad might be different to somebody else who wants to be different to their dad.
Yeah.
But if we were to look at a generalization, what do you think the biggest difference is that today's parents are trying to do differently?
I believe they're trying to be more... It's interesting because it's the bubble. It depends what bubble you're in. Because I see the bubble that I'm in is that people are healing. People are taking conscious effort in eating organically, in not suppressing children from crying, from giving them love when they cry and not letting them just cry it out. But then it's. But then in the outer spectrum. To be honest, I can't speak for that.
Yeah, well, so a generalization that I would make when it comes to how men trying to be different to their fathers is probably presence, as in wanting to be around more as a generalization. I think I see it doesn't matter whether you're into organic food or still drink beers or play sport or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think that presence is probably the most generalized shift that I see. And that would match to things like the government's, paid parental leave and that being accessible by the fathers as well. So I think that the presence is a great piece, and most people are learning. They don't actually know how to do that.
Yeah.
And so that's probably what I would say is the sort of core difference, if we were to go for a generalization, is being present.
Yeah.
Being at home.
Yeah.
Great. I'm just getting some last questions in. What kind of leaders are men hungry to become?
I think you just said it before. Present leaders, heart-led leaders that show their kid, not tell their kid, that lead from example, not leading from example.
Great.
Yeah.
What is one myth about masculinity you delete from the culture?
The bigger you are, the tougher you are.
Beautiful. What's one masculine trait you wish women understood more?
That when a woman allows time for a man to process, and instead of a woman wants answers, they want to know, but a man is still processing. A man takes a while to process. You ask my partner, and she's like, "Gosh, you take so long to do things," and it's given the man the space.
Okay, great. What is the most surprising thing you've learned coaching men?
that we're all gentle, loving puppy dogs deep down inside.
This is true. If masculinity was a practice, what are the reps?
Ooh, great. Well, there's the society, and what society is portraying is like the hyper masculine stuff is doing the ice bars, going to the gym, lifting heavy weights, and there's that, but there's also doing the emotional baggage side as well. So doing the reps with that, like doing shadow work, learning what shadow work is, and learning why you're acting a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And so we've spoken today about masculinity. Is there anything that we haven't spoken about that you think is important that we should bring to the table?
Like we briefly spoke about what I found quite interesting is like, during World War I and World War II, the absence of men.
Mm-hmm.
And then how it's then, men went to work and they were the breadwinners. And then women stayed at home, which then the women started being suppressed. And it's just so, I think and then now it's like women started being suppressed, and then it started the whole feminist movement. And it's just interesting the journeys that we're currently going. And
If you think about those generations, absence was environmental a lot of the time. Doesn't mean that the men didn't want to. It was just literally survival was forced upon them.
Yeah.
And if we think about the generalization I said about presence being the current sort of general consensus of what a lot of fathers are wanting to or attempting to be is present, which is the opposite end of absence.
Yeah.
I feel like with the amount of change and that can include technology and I guess evolution, all of these things that are happening for us as a species, we are used to swinging the pendulum from one end to the other. And that would happen over decades of time. And now it's almost like it feels like it happens monthly and weekly and in some places daily.
Yeah.
So if back then, and let's use it like grandfathers as the generation of absence, and then our fathers as the start of the attempt for presence, and the opposite of that was, women becoming absent because they were working because of productivity, and they had to because men weren't here. What I see in early childhood, what I see in childcare across and what's going on with every system, youth justice, so the crime rates, social media use, mental health, suicide, our health system, our education system, all of it collapsing because nobody is anywhere.
Yeah.
Not even where they are they there? And technology has a piece to play in that. And at the date of recording of this, tomorrow the under 16 ban on social media begins here, and Australia is one of the first countries, if not the first, to implement that. And dependent on what your take is on digital ID and control and all of those sort of things. Yeah. Cool. But let's actually talk about the lack of presence. So even if you're here in this moment, for a lot of people, they're not here in this moment.
Correct.
And the tools like our smartphones and so forth are impacting that. So we can be in a line at the grocery store and we get out our phone and then we're scrolling. So we're never actually anywhere.
Yeah.
So the pendulum is no longer swinging. The pendulum's just going around in fucking circles and doesn't know where to go. Hence the generalization of people are lost. Yeah. Men are not the only ones who are lost. Yeah. I think that humanity, we're at a point, and I know that you speak about woo-woo side of things and the fifth dimension and all of those sort of things. I look at values levels and go 3D, 5D. Mm-hmm. We're either going to regress or we're
Yeah.
going to progress.
Yes.
That's values level 3, back to
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
or values level 5.
Yeah.
And I have got podcast links I'll put in the notes about values levels if you want to understand more of that. But I think where the pendulum's not swinging right now, the pendulum is going around in circles and doesn't know where the fuck to go.
Yeah.
And we are actually in control of that,
Correct.
of what happens next.
Correct.
So it doesn't mean I have an answer to the problem. But what I do believe is that people have to be truthful about where we are at.
Yeah.
They have to be honest with themselves about where they are, because we're attempting to build lives without understanding the foundation we're building on.
Yeah.
And so when it all comes crumbling down, when it all collapses, or we do what somebody else says to do, you know, fundamentally, if you're actually honest about your truth on what you're building from, whether that's a combination of your values levels, your love languages, your attachment style, all of these things, and we have the I am profile for that, for this reason, is once you are truthful about actually who you are, only then can true growth and progress happen.
Yeah.
But when we're pretending, we are building false. We're building false narratives.
Yeah.
And more of that is being picked up. Like, I believe that we are in a truth, like we are in a moment of history where all truths are coming out, whether it's voluntary or being forced. And so what is your truth? What is somebody's truth? That is the question to answer.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and it's like, I think it just starts to come down to like start doing the work though. Start, like, it's so interesting. Like, we found it even with birth, like, but even like reading books about birth, there's so much information, yet people put their blinkers on and don't see how much information is actually out there.
The nervous system is not evolved enough to handle that amount of information.
Yeah,
That's the problem we have.
Yeah, true.
You have nervous systems that are fucked, that are at full capacity. Yeah. So yes, we have access to all this information.
Yeah.
And though it's overwhelming, so parents do nothing. It paralyzes people.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then the top of rising costs of living and things like that. It's just one thing after the next.
And is the rising cost of living true, or is it part of a system, or is it like all of these questions? And you can get lost in that. And
100%.
That's why.
That's right.
Like, at the moment, I'm really leaning into the death of neurotypical. Like, as in, my belief is that more children are getting diagnosed with neurodiverse, ADHD, autism, and more people are getting dementia and Alzheimer's for a reason, to forget the programming, so that we can actually evolve and adapt to this current situation. Because the more children who are neurodiverse don't fit into the box or the system and the program, and the more people who get dementia and Alzheimer's and they get it younger, they forget the programming faster. Therefore, we can actually evolve. We can't. Our physical evolution will not occur fast enough. Yeah. So our emotional body is attempting to evolve using the mental body. Yeah. And so the first bit of wealth was built on the physical body, built on agriculture, on land. What more land you own, the more you can do with your hands, the more money you make. Then we built cities, and then it was about how much money can you make with your mind. Yeah. And I believe that this next generation is going to be the emotional body. You're going to make money, the wealth, the next level of wealth, which won't just be money, I should say, will be those who are emotionally intelligent and are able to model that and support people with that. Yeah. So the pendulum not swinging between masculine and feminine and going around in circles gets to be an opportunity where flow happens. Yeah. Though I only believe that that's possible when we start deciding or start being honest with ourselves. Yeah. What is truth? Why do we do what we do?
That's right. And I think it's also a perfect time for leaders to actually lead, so they can lead the masses, to stand with their sword in the ground, so then they can start changing the evolution of where we are.
Absolutely. It's just going to, who are those leaders going to be?
Yeah.
And have enough systems collapsed for them to come to fruition? Or are we just going to have leaders that have been the same type of leaders we've had that have created this scenario and the reality we're in now? It's going to be very, very interesting in the next 6 months to 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm very, very, very interested, and I'm so glad that I'm here for it.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Warren, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
And it's been awesome having you.
Thank you so much.